Cable Bahamas has always been considered the innovator.
People can have confidence in Cable Bahamas as a mobile operator because of our past history. We've proven to the Bahamian community that we are in fact able to manage additional services as a telecommunications company.
Customers expect the best from Cable Bahamas.
The technology that we bring is revolutionary technology because we know that the Bahamian public, they deserve it, and Cable Bahamas is here to bring it to them.
We are ready. Turn us on.
Good evening, Bahamas. You're tuned into NB12 Weekend, broadcasting from Cable 12 Studios on Robinson Road. Coming up tonight in news, as government considers funding Baha Mar's payroll once again, the AG prepares to head back to China. The mother of 2 murder victims demands justice. Police on Grand Bahama investigating a murder. Plus, the Police Staff Association wins its lawsuit against the government. I'm Paige McCartney. We've got those stories and more straight ahead on NB12 Weekend. As government considers whether to fund Baha Mar's $7.5 million payroll for the second consecutive month, Attorney General Allison Maynard Gibson is preparing to return to Beijing, China this weekend for the resumption of negotiations among Baha Mar and its Chinese partners. Prime Minister Perry Christie said last night in a statement that he's hopeful the talks with China Construction America Bahamas, Baha Mar, and the Export-Import Bank of China will lead to a successful conclusion. He also pointed out that as top executives from all of the major stakeholders will be present in Beijing, it will be helpful for Baha Mar's chief decision maker, CEO Sarkis Merlian, to be at the negotiating table. He said, should the parties reach an agreement, the parties can get back to the completion and opening of the resort without further litigation or delays. However, Christie added that if no agreement is reached, there will still be the option of restructuring and relaunch of the project under the authority of a provisional liquidator and the supervision of our Supreme Court. That's if the court is minded to do so, order after hearing from all sides. The Prime Minister said the preferred solution, however, would obviously be an amicable out-of-court settlement between all parties. Maynard Gibson filed a winding up petition against Baha Mar last week, seeking to bring it under the jurisdiction of Bahamian courts. The government is seeking the appointment of a provisional liquidator to manage Baha Mar's affairs with a view to getting the stalled project completed and operational. This latest development comes as government determines whether it should fund Baha Mar's August payroll. A government source told NB12 this will be determined by the conclusion of talks between Baha Mar and its contractor. Another concern for the Christie administration is Baha Mar's relationship with its brand partners. While hotel brands Rosewood, SLS, and the Grand Hyatt have each said they're waiting out the ongoing dispute, PDS Gaming International, the company that provided all of Baha Mar's casino equipment, has threatened to recover more than 1,000 devices if it's not paid soon. The Bahama Supreme Court rejected Baha Mar's bankruptcy application and will hear government's petition for winding up on July 31st. Tourism Minister Obi Welchcombe shared his concerns on the matter involving PDS Gaming.
I'm not concerned that they won't have equipment. I know it looks strange right now, we want to pull out because of, but that leads to the dialogue, and even if something happens, by the time they arrive at the point where they seek their license, I suspect things will be in place.
Welchcombe, who has ministerial responsibility for gaming, said threats of a pullout by a major supplier is worrisome. He said what's most concerning is that Baha Mar's casino is expected to be a major attraction for the resort and the country.
It's supposed to have been, and it still will be. The truth is the companies that are working together, they have to solve what their difference is. What we have to do is be in a position to give a license, which we have not given yet, because certain things and certain conditions must be met. If they're not met, then we can't even give a license. So until that time comes, we allow them to go through changing businesses, changing companies, changing machines. They can do all that. But when it comes to us, all the conditions must be in place. That stage has not arrived yet.
Wilchcombe said it would cost millions to remove the already installed equipment.
Tons of money. Costs a lot, obviously, to set up a casino with a 100,000 square feet floor. Obviously, it will cost a lot, and to have to take it out and bring it back, and then you lose your relationships, because you must always remember, a lot of these arrangements are based and predicated upon good relationships, because that's how credits work. So it will cost them a lot, but I'm sure that the players involved are going to find a way to work it out, because this is business, and business has ups and downs. Sometimes you don't hear about it, but because this is so much in the public's eye right now, questions could be raised, but they'll have to work it out, because you can't have a casino unless you have the equipment. And so they'll work it out, and they'll work it out with their partners.
And from the court's Supreme Court, Justice Milton Evans ruled yesterday that government either pay outstanding overtime to police officers who worked 12-hour shifts or give the officers the equivalent in days off. Police Staff Association Executive Chairman Inspector Dwight Smith, Sergeant Dwayne Roll, Corporal Kevin Johnson, and PC Jason Knowles are listed as plaintiffs. The Attorney General and the Commissioner of Police are listed as the defendants. The PSA took action after repeated attempts to have scores of officers compensated for spending weeks working 12-hour shifts. Evans yesterday ruled that members of the Royal Bahamas Police Force of the rank of Inspector, Sergeant, Corporal, and Constable are entitled to and owed overtime pay, or in lieu thereof, days off as compensation for working 12-hour shifts, which resulted in the officers working in excess of 40 hours a week. PSA attorney Wayne Monroe said officers are owed well over $16 million. Evans wrote in his decision that officers were placed on 12-hour shifts on September 6, 2013 until December 2013. The shifts resumed on February 26, 2014. Evans also pointed out that normal working hours are 40 hours each week. The defendants were ordered to pay costs. You can read all about this story in today's Nassau Guardian. While the mother of two young men murdered just weeks apart last year is finally speaking out about their tragic deaths, Stephanie Ray says she just wants justice for her boys. Jasmine Brown reports.
For Stephanie Ray, the Central Detective Unit is not a symbol of justice, but a sign of despair, as it marks the last place one of her sons took their last breaths after being gunned down last year. Shavaz Kyle Ray died in his mother's car outside the Central Detective Unit after being driven there by his girlfriend. The 20-year-old, who was released from prison that year, was fatally shot in the Soldier Road area on November 6, 2014. His murder came nearly 2 weeks after his 19-year-old brother Shaquan Ray was gunned down outside his Farrington Road home as he was cleaning his car. Their distraught mother, Stephanie Ray, says in both cases she never got to say goodbye to her sons, and it continues to haunt her.
My son, Shaquan, was the first one who got murdered. He was home washing his car, and they came from through the corner from me and gunned him down 7 times. And then 3 weeks later, they gunned my other son down in traffic, in my car. And he was driven to CDU and died right there. I never got there before he died. Never got there to see my child.
The Ray family has been hit by a series of tragedies in recent years. In late 2009, family patriarch Stephen Ray went missing at sea. NB12 spoke with Stephanie and her sons at the family home weeks after her husband went missing. Ray says the tragedies have taken a toll.
You see them there? They were my babies. They were my babies. And in a day, I don't miss them. I don't cry. I just scream and holler in my house because I miss them.
Adding to her misery is the lack of movement in the case, as no one has been charged with her son's murder.
I just want the police to be in liaison with me. Please, please. Even if you don't have no leads as to who killed my children, please, just let me know how the case going. They promised to come and let me know. I have not heard from them. Nobody. I have not heard. I just need them to be in communication with me, please. They know where I am. They know where I live. They know who I am.
Then there was that call Ray says she got from the Attorney General's office asking for her sons to show up as witnesses in a court case. She says she had the horrific task of proving her sons had died months earlier.
How could you call me? And that was so heart-wrenching. How could you call me and say to me, bring my children in? How you don't know that my children are dead? You understand me? How? That was so hurtful. And today that's still hurting me.
Stephanie says no matter their past, her sons deserve justice.
My children were loving children no matter what. They were mine. They were mine. They were my children. I lost my husband in 2009 at sea. I'll tell you, it's all I heard. I have 2 older children, but they are my own, and I have a younger son, but they were my babies.
And amid the grief, she says her focus is on being strong for her other children, including her 11-year-old who was close to his brothers. Reporting for NB12, I'm Jasmine Brown.
And police on Grand Bahama are investigating the shooting death of a 46-year-old Coral Gardens man. Shortly after 11 Thursday night, police were called to the Carvel Beach area where they reportedly met a man with multiple gunshot wounds. EMS personnel were called to the scene and the victim was transported to Rand Memorial Hospital where he was seen by doctors who listed his condition as critical. And then shortly before 3 a.m. on Friday, the victim succumbed to his injuries. Police are investigating the matter and are appealing to anyone with information that can assist to contact them at the Central Detective Unit on Grand Bahama at 350-3107, 350-3112, 911-919, or your nearest police station. Stay with us when NB12 Weekend returns. Calls for more sensitivity training for officers dealing with the relatives of crime victims. We'll tell you about that story and more when we come right back.